Hey, welcome to Seminar 2 here as we're just getting started in Seminar 2 for the personal finance class. Wanted to talk just a little bit about some things that are going to happen this week regarding the individual sets of topics that we're going to cover. One of the things that is kind of actually appropriate because many of us are probably already working on it now. Matter of fact, I did my taxes last weekend, and as usual, I have to pay about $3,000, which is kind of normal for me on an annual basis. And but we're going to talk a little bit about taxes because taxes will have an impact on various things that you're going to do. There are certain investment choices that you can make where you can have things be tax-free or tax-deferred. We'll talk about some of those in a little bit more detail as it relates to things like investment options for retirement planning. Things like your 401ks and 403bs are what are called tax deferred, which means that you don't have to pay taxes on it right now, but you will have to pay taxes on it in the future when you withdraw the money. Their traditional IRAs would essentially work the same way. Then there are Roth IRAs, which one of the nice benefits of the Roth IRA is they are tax-free even upon withdrawal if you fulfill the requirements, leave the money in for at least 5 years, and a number of other issues that we'll talk about a little later in the course. Other things that we're going to talk about this week are budgets. We have talked about budgets a little bit as it relates to the spending diary. But a spending diary is nothing more than really looking at your inflows and outflows of cash. A budget is where you now have that information along with your personal financial statements, and you say, okay, I need to make some changes or at least put together a plan in place. And so I'm going to budget various things regarding subjects that might only be a few times a year, maybe once a year, maybe a life insurance payment or something like that, versus something like utilities that you have to pay every 30 days. So that's what a budget allows you to do. And we're also going to talk a little bit about things like time and risk and so forth, which essentially are tied to those three important questions that I told you guys about last week. And I will continue to beat those to death. You will hear more about those three questions than you will probably ever care to hear about anything. But they are truly the most important things because your answers to those questions are going to be different from my answers and different from anybody else in the class because they're personal to you. So I can't sit here and tell you what your risk tolerance needs to be. You have to decide what it is. The same thing with your time horizon and so forth, and then obviously your goal. So again, our three questions are: what's the goal for the money? What's our time horizon? In other words, how long can I have this money working for me before I will need it? And then what's your risk tolerance? This sometimes is the most difficult one because people will talk all the time about, oh, I want to make this money, but I don't want to lose any money. I don't ever want to lose any money. I don't even want a chance of losing any money. Then you have a very low or non-existent risk tolerance. And although I wouldn't say that that's an impossible task, you make it very, very difficult on yourself because I can tell you, you can't say that your risk tolerance is very, very, very low, but you'd like to double your money because mathematically that can't happen at all. They have a nice, easy calculation in finance that we call the Rule of 72, and this might even be printed in your textbook, but basically says that if you know something like a rate of return or an interest rate, you can actually take that and divide that into 72, and then that answer will be the number of years that it will take you to double your money. So if, for example, if I think I can make a 10% return, if I divide 10 into 72, I get 7.2. So that's 7.2 years it will take me to double my money. By the same token, if I knew I could make, or if I had 3 years, let's say, so I have the time and I want to know how long or at what interest rate or what rate of return do I have to make in order to double my money. The same thing, you take 72 divided by 3, you get 24. That means I'm going to have to earn 24% in order to double my money in 3 years. So it's just a quick way to determine things like rate of return and how long is it going to take to double my money and what have you. Obviously, you can use Excel spreadsheets and financial calculators and all that to do the same thing for you. So just the focus of some things this week. Again, we're going to be looking at those three questions. We're going to talk about credit as it relates to things like budgets and tax planning and all that kind of thing, because I believe that credit is one of those things, if you can manage it properly, you can actually do a budget. If you cannot manage your credit, a budget is just a futile attempt at really lying to yourself if you can't manage credit. And those people that can't manage it shouldn't use it. Then it's pretty simple. So I look forward to the discussion that we'll have on the board this week, and looking forward to talking to you. We'll see you there.